Z rubbed at his wrist and squinted at the sun overhead. It was bright and hot, which was making him sweat, and the sweat was getting into the open sores on his wrists, neck, and ankles. He wore heavy iron manacles, which wouldn't have been so bad but for the fact that the manacles were connected to a series of heavy chains. Those chains joined his neck, wrists, and ankles together, and then extended a significant length behind him along the ground. Ahead of him was the gate to Medir, sealed tight. Visible in their nooks, the guards peered out at him. He knew that the captain of the guard, and almost certainly the garrison commander himself, were watching them. There was a painful yank on the chain connected to the manacles that caused Z to stumble backwards. His head snapped around to look behind him and scowl. There, holding his chains in one hand, was Queen Diarmuid, who ignored his glare. Beside him was Toro, also in chains and scowling at Diarmuid, who had yanked on both of them. "Careful," Toro said. "Just because we submitted to this humiliation doesn't mean I'm powerless. Pain clouds my judgment." "Forward, swine!" Diarmuid replied, and tugged again on the chains. Toro and Z exchanged looks, then turned around and walked towards the massive double doors that led into the walled capital city. As they approached, there was a shout inside the walls, followed by the sound of wheels turning and rope stretching. The door creaked open, little by little. They waited until it was open all the way. Diarmuid jerked the chains hard again and yelled for them to walk forward. Z and Toro stepped through the main gate of the city. In front of them stood several lines of soldiers, nervously holding pikes and shuffling their feet. Behind the soldiers were hundreds of citizens of Medir. More were gathering by the moment, which made the soldiers in the back row cast anxious glances over their shoulders. Finally, the garrison commander ordered the soldiers to turn around with their pikes and face the crowd, warning them to back off. The captain of the guard and the garrison commander strode towards Z, Toro, and Queen Diarmuid. The garrison commander spat at their feet and then turned to address the queen. "Your Royal Highness, it is my honor to welcome you to Medir City," he said. "She's not your queen, you buffoon," Toro rumbled in a low voice. The garrison commander never so much as glanced at Toro, but gave him a sharp backhand with a mailed glove. Blood poured from Toro's nose. Toro took a step towards the commander, then stopped as Z threw a look his way, shaking his head ever so slightly. The garrison commander ignored Toro in any case, as did Queen Diarmuid. "Thank you, Commander," Queen Diarmuid said. "It is nice to be out of their dismal dungeon. These bone mage filth treat their betters like lessers, and lessers like betters. They are a scourge."